Welcome back to the channel. Right now I have the stock name Biocon in front of my chart. Well, I think the stock is positioned extremely in favor of bulls going forward 3 months, 6 months, 10 months down the line. I think that the stock has completed uh, a longer term correction. So the stock topped out around the levels of 487, and then it made a bottom of what, of around 191. So that's a decline of almost so that's almost a 60% decline. And when I see such kind of declines in a stock, I tentatively start to assume that this is not a part of a smaller correction. The correction itself is a larger correction and not a very small correction, just by looking at the magnitude of the or the size of the correction. So if I were to look at this rise right from 2012 May till 2014, and then I look at this correction, then I would start to assume that okay, even if this correction might be greater in size, wherein the stock corrected from 92 to 60 levels, even though price wise it is a very large breakdown, but in terms of the rise, uh, proportionate wise it's still much smaller. But if you look at this proportion, let's say we start to look at the rise from 200 odd levels to 487, and in comparison to that we get this kind of rise, this kind of fall, that is almost 60% fall. We would certainly be right if we start to assume that it is not a routine correction but a longer term correction. When after we start to conclude that this is not a small correction and but a larger correction, we start to see if the correction has ended, because after a longer term correction we tend to see longer term impulsive moves or rise in the direction of the overall upward trend. I might, very easily might start to label this as wave 1, and this rise as wave 1 and this as wave 2, and then look at this overall move. At first I glanced at it and then probably thought that could it be 1 2 3 4 5, and could I label this whole move as wave 3, or then label this as 3 and this as 4. But then I looked at this correction and the kind of impulsive move that I'm seeing right now from the lows of 192, 191.55, and I could assume that this is wave 3, and this whole is a an extended move of wave 3, and this being wave 4. Even though a wave 3, wave 4 correction and wave 2 correction look very similar, but I have reasons to believe that they both are theoretically very different from each other, wherein this looks like a some kind of simple correction, wherein this is a really some sort of complex correction going on. And then it is very simple that anyone, even a beginner could understand that if this is a wave 4 correction, or if the wave 4 correction has ended and probably the stock has closed, let's assume the stock has closed above the 50 EMA, then I will start to assume that wave 4 is done, and then we'll start to anticipate that wave 5 is on the grounds for the higher side. And so I'm looking at this this wave 5 to be around 700, 800, 900 levels, or even 1000 levels. That means the stock from here, from 300 level, might go up around 2.5 to 3.5 times, almost. Let's say it goes to 1000. Let's say that's almost 3 times, 3.33 times. So that's roughly around 1 lakh crore of market cap. So the stock has a market capitalization of around 35,000 crore. I could see that the stock 5 years, 6 years down the line would have a market capitalization of almost 70,000, 80,000 crore, or even a lakh crore in this 6 to 7 year period. And let me look at some calculation. I would like to put up my trading view chart over here, and so I took the length of the previous impulse and added up to the length of added up to the bottom of wave 4, and I get a target which is a very handsome target of 1000 levels. I would assume that a very conservative target from here would be just the previous high, which comes around 500 odd levels. And once we cross above 500, at least I see the stock could give us a return of almost 60% to 80% more. So I'd keep it in the bracket of 800 to 1000 range, wherein 700, 750, 800 are my conservative targets, and 1000 is a very aggressive bullish target for me. And I think that is it for the video. One more wonderful thing that I'd like to show you guys is if I take on to the auto and if I use a very simple trend line, I could see that I connected all the resistances and the stock is starting to trade above this resistance trend line. So I think I'm bullish on this counter, and I would really like to see the stock first at least cross above 310 levels. After we start to see the stock cross above 310 levels, then probably we might see 350, 400. In a matter of months, we could really see the stock closing above 500 levels, and the real move is going to start once we close above 500. I think that was it for the video. Thank you.